Who's ready to learn about orgasms? If you are, you've come to the right place, because this is the episode for you. Today, I had the absolute honor and the absolute pleasure of interviewing Matthew Angels. His mission is to teach men how to pleasure their woman in the best way possible. Now, he basically broke down and deconstructed how porn and a lot of other things have basically conditioned men to think in the wrong way. His whole thing and his whole approach is about how you basically want to give her all the pleasure in the world so that she can then reach the highest climax she has ever reached before. Guys, you want to stay tuned to this one because Matt breaks it down elegantly and basically teaches you how to give your woman the best orgasms out there. Hence the reason why he created the website orgasmlovers.com, which you should be sure to check out because there's a whole lot to learn. All right, without any further ado, let's jump into this one, guys. Before we get started, one more thing. If you want to get any PE gear, be sure to check out TotalManShop.com. That is TotalManShop.com. And use the promo code MHS2020. Promo code is MHS2020 and get 12% off. Be sure to check out their wide variety of all kinds of good quality PE equipment. All right? And that's promo code MHS2020 for 12% off. And the website, once again, is TotalManShop.com. Welcome to another episode here at the Masculine Health Solutions Podcast. Today, I have Matt Angels from OrgasmLovers.com. And Matt, he's going to break down how orgasms really work and the importance of what we're not being taught, how to actually do it right, and get the most out of your sex life. So without any further ado, let's meet Matt. So, Matt, just tell us about what got you started in this and tell us a little bit about your background.
Hello, and hello to your audience. I'm really glad to be here with you. Thank you very much. I got involved in sex actually very soon. I had my first lover, I was 15, and she taught me a lot. And I didn't realize then how much she had taught me. And 5 years ago, a girlfriend of mine who really loved sex, and she told me before we really had it, and she told me, you have to teach other men all the things you know. And I realized that what I had acquired was not only listening skills and caring for my lovers, it was also a lot of skills and knowledge about anatomy, knowledge about how arousal works on a female body, and knowledge about how to communicate around sex. To me, sex is like, it's an art. It's a form of communication, like a language, but really artistic. You have to communicate your own feelings to someone and have that person feel some feelings due to what you do. So you have to care for them, of course. You have to come from what you really feel, but there's a lot of skills involved and knowledge. And that knowledge, we have so little access to it. We're supposed to be like innately good. You're a man, you should know, and that's your penis is your masculinity, but there's more to it. There's also a brain and your heart and whatever you know and you learn. So to me, it's like learn, listen, and care, and that are the pillars of being a great lover.
I love that, man, because I mean, 100% true. After being married for as long as I have, I can attest to that. You got to make sure you're there and making the other person happy. But one thing that I got right off the top of my head, number one thing right off the top of my head is, what is the number one thing that women complain to you about as far as what they're not receiving sexually?
I would say patience and listening.
Yeah.
Most of the time they feel like their lovers, men, are going for their own pleasure, male
Mm.
pleasure, without waiting for her to be ready,
Yeah.
without listening to the cues that she gives about her own pleasure
Yeah.
and her own arousal. You know, mostly they often say that their lover is selfish and not listening and not caring. And I realize it's more than they don't know how to listen and what to listen for.
Yeah. Hmm. That makes sense because it's kind of like, most guys just kind of rush into it. Bam, bam, bam. Wham, bam, and thank you, ma'am. Out the door already.
And also we're taught sex, unfortunately, but the bad way with
Yeah.
porn. And in porn, they see sex like something wrong done from a brutal man to a despised woman.
Mm.
And okay, they teach you sex is a language, so they teach you how to show hatred,
Yeah.
how to communicate hatred. They don't show you how to communicate love.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And if your only vocabulary is about weapons and killing someone, and you want to create a love poem,
It's
it will
not
not
gonna
work.
work. Yeah, it's not gonna work. So that's one thing. I think I had seen that on your website. Actually, like the problems, the issues that you had with porn. What were the 6 reasons exactly, and why you kind of decided that it made you more anti-porn, I guess, or
Yeah.
mainstream porn?
First thing, I'm not against the depiction of human sexuality
Yeah.
in principle, as long as no one is hurt in the process.
Yeah.
And my first reason for being anti-porn, such as it is currently, is that there's a lot of violence in porn,
Yeah.
in the process of making it against women. And
Mm.
the first parenthesis, they show that there is gagging and slapping and insulting and spitting and all that. Yes, that's wrong, but actually, a hand on a cheek can be a slap or can be a caress, can be
Mm.
pleasant or unpleasant, can be caring or hating. And sexual penetration is the same. And the sex itself is more often brutal and meant to hurt. The actresses are hurt in the process, and there's a lot of sex trafficking that leads to porn.
Mm.
Not
Yeah.
all of it, but some of it, and majority is quite brutal. So first is ethical. The second is the result of that. Sex is making love, and they show you how to make hate, not
Mm.
love. I don't hurt the people I love. I don't spit on them. I don't insult them.
Yeah.
I say gentle things. So that's and that creates a confusion because we see porn all the time. We all see it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I see it. So yes, we can't avoid it, but they make and that seeing all that makes a confusion in our brains between love and hate.
Yeah.
And also there are other more societal aspects to that because what you see often you learn
Mm.
and it replaces our imagination. If you see a movie that's based on a book, if you read the book afterwards, you will not be able to imagine another face than the main actors
Yeah.
or the main character. And it's the same for porn. You see porn, it will be hard to make your own imagination afterwards. That sucks. Always the same script.
Yeah.
It lacks imagination. It's always the same, and it's often domination, male domination,
Yeah.
and yeah, but it really impoverishes our imagination. So, based on all that, to me, porn is the same ideology as Puritanism.
Mm.
Both of them think that sex is bad. The sex drive makes men violent. Sex
Mm.
drive makes women contemptible, despicable,
Yeah.
and it's about doing bad things to women. And it's not that, but one of them thinks it is that because, and you don't show it, and the other one shows what the first one thinks. So they both think the same, that sex is bad, violent men doing bad things and defiling despicable women. But sex is not that. Sex is love. Sex is the most beautiful thing you can do to someone. The most
Yeah.
violent act I want to do to someone, it's making love to them, giving them pleasure.
So
So yes, we are orgasm lovers. I'm an orgasm lover. Humans are made to feel pleasure and share it with the people they love.
I love that, man. But counter to that, then one thing I wanted to roll into after you did that so elegantly, because I agree with you. I mean, when it comes to porn, it's always more the brutalization aspect of it. It always seems to just, like it's almost like he's punching her. It's just violent, right? And it's just not real. And that's the one thing that I agree with you because I'll be talking, different guys that I work with or whatever, and it's like, come on, man, it's Tuesday night. Nobody's gonna be like, yeah, spit in my face and like, no, man. Husbands and wives for the most part it doesn't take place like that, right? Which brings me to my next subject, mind blowing orgasms. How does one achieve that? um and let's just start off with the different techniques, and the first thing I guess would be the foundational things that a man should pay attention to when making love to a woman. What should he do as far as really getting the foundation laid out for a mind-blowing orgasm for his lover?
I would say there are three main aspects that I want to bring in. And one is your intention.
Gotcha.
To feel that you want good things for the person you're with. That's
Mm,
simple enough, but it's important. The second thing is having basic knowledge about the anatomy, and I'll come to that in more detail afterwards.
yeah.
And the third is taking time. And I also have a message for women on that, because women and men are different both in their anatomy and the way they are taught about sex and
Yeah.
about their own identity. And to a man, he will feel like he's recognized and acknowledged as an important person when his penis is acknowledged too.
Yeah.
And there is some intention towards it because it's part of us, it's part of our identity.
Mm,
But a woman will feel more acknowledged if she is acknowledged for the rest of her before her genitals.
mm,
So when
gotcha.
you make love with a woman and you can communicate to her about that, but that's the communication part. It's huge and it's kind of hard. The thing, if you touch my penis, I will feel easier being able to listen more to you.
Yeah.
But with a woman, you go outside in. You first touch the hands, then the arms, then the shoulders, then the back, then the head, the face, and then the chest, and then only you can go to the buttocks, and then only to the genitals. Really, outside in.
Yeah.
Don't zoom in the beginning and take your bloody time. It's really, if I had to give three advices, it's slower, then get slower, and then get slower again. Enjoy it. Because every single millimeter of skin is pleasant. And if you take the time, you can feel, oh, but that's pleasant too. And that's pleasant too. And the more you enjoy it, the more she will enjoy it.
Yeah.
And, but we are, Westerners. We are used to think a lot. And especially men, we want facts and hardcore knowledge and stuff. So knowing the anatomy will help you be relaxed when
Yeah.
you're actually with the actual body of an actual person.
Yeah.
And you can listen more when you know that you have knowledge.
Mm.
So the anatomy part, knowing the anatomy of the clitoris, the anatomy of the vagina, where are the most sensitive parts, it's useful if only to not be focused on, I don't know where I'm going. And that's important too. So yeah, basically on my website here, I have a
Yeah.
booklet about the anatomic part, and it's free. You just enter your email, you get it for free. But knowing that, it's important, not in the beginning on your actions, but since the beginning on your mindset, because you know that you know where the basic parts are, so you can relax.
Yeah.
So yeah, being slow, being very gentle, outside in, and listen. That's really very important. And an important part on listening is making her talk.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of difficult when you're in a man-woman relationship, because a man should know. And if he looks weak, if he looks like he doesn't know where to go, he will lose some of his aura.
Mm.
But you can say, like, you know, I want it to be the best for you. And I know that it's not all men who can listen to that. So give me feedback. I can handle it. And that makes you a strong man and give you access to feedback. And
Gotcha.
feedback is necessary.
I
So
love
really
that. Yeah.
putting that in place. And it's always very hard to say, I want you to give me knowledge, but I'm not weak in that. I'm strong in that. Because I know that I will be a better lover for you if you give me indications.
Gotcha. Kind of like
That's
this.
important.
Yeah, it's a separating factor versus the guy that's just kind of bumbling around trying to figure it out and he's lost. And the best person to get directions from is probably the woman you're making love to.
Because all of us are different. And actually,
Hmm.
one day to another, we have different parts of us, different feelings, different needs. And women even more than men, because their biology is more cyclical
Yeah.
and their education is more focused on emotions. So based on her day, the same woman will want different things.
Yeah. It's 100% true. I mean, they do kind of change up. Not always the same. Let's jump into some of the specifics though. And one of the first ones I wanted to start off with, because this is would have been a game changer for me as a young bull when I was in my 20s, I guess. But jumping right off into clitoral orgasms, how and what is the best technique for clitoral orgasms?
Ah, and we go first to the big thing about porn. They teach you wrong. It's when I see it in porn, I it looks like they're trying to start a bushfire by rubbing wood together. It's very sensitive. So basically, you rub it very gently. The technique I was taught by a woman actually is like you put your finger on your brow and you try to move your hairs without touching the skin of your eyebrow. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of strength you need when you're rubbing a clitoris, the clitoris glands.
Yeah.
And of course, outside in, don't go for the genitalia before having explored the body and acknowledge the person in her wholeness. It's quite the opposite from us men.
Yeah.
And then take your time, a lot of lube. It's as it's twice as sensitive as a penis gland
Yeah.
for men who have their foreskin. When
Mm.
you don't have your foreskin, it's less sensitive than when you have it. Unfortunately, sorry for you guys. um, but yes, the clitoris gland is just very sensitive and it needs lube and gentle touch. And then you rub it Um, the best I've heard is a circular motion, but then again, you will always have changes from person to person and from day to day with the same person.
Yeah.
So kind of follow your inspiration, but be very gentle, especially at the beginning, and slow.
Yeah. Pace, I guess that is a big thing.
And also, and that's for everyone, we all have a lot of shame around sex. And, you know, for men, it's often, am I big enough, small enough, the good shape? Oh, it's not perfectly linear. Maybe I'm wrong. It's bent. We all have bent. All penises are bent some way, but we're always shamed about that. Women have the same with their vulvas, and there's a lot of shame around that, and you don't look at it, and you don't speak of it and stuff. So saying something nice about her vulva is something that will remove shame and let her access to her sensations much more easily and to pleasure. So, oh, it's so beautiful. Just
Yeah.
that. Or, oh, it's so soft.
Or
Just one nice word will go a long way into creating pleasure. Not creating pleasure, actually, but allowing it. Removing some veil of shame that we all have.
yeah. I love that because that's another thing I was reading on your website about how we've been preconditioned to view sex in a certain way. And I think for many of us, it's kind of like it's crazy because you bring up the whole Puritan dilemma, I guess, because it's almost like it's one extreme or it's the other.
Yeah.
Either way, it's kind of viewed as though sex is a bad thing. And that's kind of why orgasms, I feel like for so long, it's just always been something that we focus on just the male point of view, I guess. Because that's what we see in porn, right? Just the ejaculation all over the face, and she's happy, I guess, but that's kind of the preconditioned that's kind of the conditioning we're seeing in society, especially with young men coming up. And it's funny because I'll talk to them and I'll be like, hey man, that's not really how it works. And all the things that you're saying about basically priming her to enjoy the moment, to really enjoy the connection of what love making really is. And for her reaching orgasm, it's completely opposite, right? To that conditioning, anyways.
And the way you bring it is beautiful. And I would say priming ourselves too.
Yeah.
Because uh, you mentioned something about my website about respecting your penis.
Yeah. I
Your
read that
penis
article.
is a gift. It's beautiful. It's the door to your intimacy. And priming ourselves. If I touch someone with my penis, it means that I respect them. My
Yeah.
penis is my most trusted and precious possession. I'd rather lose an arm than lose my penis. And most men are like me.
Yep, I think so.
So I would not trust my arm to anyone. I would not trust my penis to anyone. That's just something about porn and Puritanism where they see that it's like penis is a weapon and if you accept my penis, you're despicable. You're not. On the contrary, it's amazing. I trust you with my penis. And that's a girlfriend of mine would say, yes, you respect your penis too much to give it to anyone, to
Yeah.
just anyone. You need someone to be very uh, to regard someone before you entrust your penis to her. And yes, and so priming ourselves, saying, "I will give you a gift, the gift of my most precious body part."
Yeah. It's something to be revered. Yeah, you're right.
And yes, I also use it in my everyday vocabulary. When I don't like someone, I don't wish them to have sex, and I don't wish them to have sex with me. So it's not when I say I will not say to someone that I want to dismiss. I want to say suck my dick.
Yeah.
No, don't come close to my dick. If I don't trust you, don't come any closer to my dick. especially with your mouth, you have weapons in that teeth. So
Yeah.
yes, or fuck you. No, I don't fuck someone I don't like and respect. So
Yeah.
really viewing that action as my most precious body part with your intimate body, which I revere.
It's almost like you're giving them that gift, right? And that's the thing where it's like when you're making love to somebody, that's the whole point of it. It's like I'm giving to you, right? And it's
Exactly.
almost like for us men, it's like we are the ones that extend into her, right? And she accepts your love, so to speak. Which is
Yes.
another thing that vaginal orgasms, how do they differ from clitoral orgasms? And what is the best technique to go about vaginal orgasms?
Uh, Actually, vaginal orgasms are the doorway to complete orgasm.
Mm,
Because whenever you have a vaginal orgasm, you first have a clitoral orgasm. That is the hidden part of the clitoris.
okay.
Now I don't know how much people in the US have access to it, but we have more and more access to the information that the clitoris is a big thing. It's as big as a penis,
Yeah.
and it's basically the same parts. So there's the clitoris glans. It's like the glans of the penis. It's much smaller,
Yeah.
but you have the equivalent of the shaft is inside.
Wow.
It's the equivalent of the shaft is just the bulbs and the pillars that are all around the entrance of the vagina.
Gotcha.
And when they fully erect, and that takes more time than a penis, when they fully erect, they're gorged with blood, so they become bigger and squishier.
Gotcha.
And when you enter the vagina, they will be moved around, and that will be like the same as when you masturbate, you move the shaft and you apply pressure to the shaft. It's the same, you apply pressure to the bulbs of the clitoris. So it will become, uh, when it's properly erect, it's a stimulation that will lead to something that is an orgasm in itself. So it's the entrance of the vagina.
Gotcha. So,
And then inside you have other parts that are very sensitive. You have the G spot, which is accessed with hooked fingers,
yeah.
and it's deeper. It's like one and a half fingers inside.
Yeah.
It's an area that is like a crease, and it's after the entrance. And stimulating it will, by some pressure, will stimulate the body of the clitoris, both the bulbs, the body, and the glands indirectly. So that's
Gotcha.
another kind of orgasm,
Yeah, the G spot.
G spot. And the what what has been called the H spot or the cervix spot, it's really the bottom of the vagina. There's a small uh, uh, like a band of mucosa, actually, not really
Yeah.
skin, just before the cervix. That's very sensitive too, but it will be sensitive when the body of the clit will have had an orgasm.
Gotcha.
So by being very slow and having, you need the body of the vagina. The vagina is not a hole. There's tissue. The wall of the vagina are tissues that are also activated by bringing blood into it, just like in a penis, but slower. So they will become squishier and more supple and full of liquid, usually.
Yeah.
And so when those are really fully erect and you go uh, gently and it's really welcoming and you feel it welcoming, and there's so with time of stimulating all that area, you will have some orgasms from the entrance of the vagina, the body of the clit,
Yeah.
and then from the walls. until the cervix activates, and then you'll get the mind-blowing orgasms. So the full cervix orgasms will come after the first orgasms.
Gotcha. So would I be trying, or would anybody be trying to basically get a clitoral orgasm, and then it's almost like you keep going for the rest of it? Like, what would be the exact method that you would employ?
Usually, the thing I really uh, focus on is making it slow so that the arousal is a little bit higher than the pleasure, but
Hmm.
not much higher.
Okay.
Because if you, well, that's a part about stimulation towards orgasm. When you know that when you do that, you will get sensations, and you really focus on the goal, you will sometimes rush.
Yeah.
But if you rush to go to the, it's like when you're on a race, and there's the
Hmm.
finish line, and you don't warm up yourself before you go running, you will reach faster, but you will hurt your muscles.
Yeah. Cramp
Sex
up.
is like the same. You have to be really completely warm to make it really more pleasant, and you will reach
Gotcha.
faster with that. So really, I focus on enjoying every moment and just focusing on enjoying what I'm doing and making sure that she's enjoying whatever she's doing, and taking it a bit slower even than just enjoying makes the craving go a bit higher and the
Yeah.
pleasure extends. So I will reach much higher peaks.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Does this tie into your true orgasm? Um,
Absolutely.
okay. And can you elaborate a little bit more about that? Because that's a blog post that I saw where I was like, yo, you gotta talk about this.
Because, well, the thing is, uh, well, the orgasm, and even for men, the orgasm is not the ejaculation. You can get an ejaculation that's, yeah, well, it's okay. It's a bit pleasant. And you have the moment where, oh my God, it's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have the rushed orgasm when you masturbate frantically, and it's not
Yeah.
really pleasant. It feels a bit empty because you have, even if you're not conscious of it, you may have hurt yourself a bit and you had not enjoyed the journey. So yeah, well, I arrived at the top, but I didn't see the scenery, so it's not. I didn't have a great time. You know, if you're rushing to the top of the mountain, you haven't seen the whole scenery in the journey, in the trek. So,
The journey, yeah.
and you can have a local orgasm. It's like, oh my God, that's amazing. It's an intense moment of pleasure, but it's still local.
Yeah.
But when you have immersed completely in the journey, and the journey has been long, the more you accumulate pleasure, the more it will engulf your body, and if you accumulate enough pleasure without reaching some kind of explosion, the
Yeah.
moment the explosion arrives, it's already inside a pool of intense pleasure, and the pool ripples all around, and you're completely surrounded by like a tsunami of pleasure. And when you're in a whole orgasm, and for women it's usually when they have had some clitoral body orgasms, and when they reach the cervix orgasm on top of that, the whole body is engulfed in a wave of pleasure, and you lose every consciousness of time. You lose the ability to consciously speak. The, the sound that will come out of your mouth come completely from your subconscious. If there are words, which most often there have no words, and you, your yes, your limbs, you don't control them at all. And um, the real difference, the way to say if you had a rushed orgasm or a whole orgasm, and or everything something in between, is the state you're afterwards. If you had a
Yeah.
rushed orgasm, it's like, oh, I'd be a bit vulgar here, but if you take a dump,
Done.
it's a relief, but you
Exactly.
don't want to stay there.
No.
When you have the whole orgasm, you want to stay there. It's a state of bliss when you feel connected with the person with whom you were, and you feel, I don't want to say vulnerable because it's not vulnerability, it's just connection, it's love, it's gratefulness, it's a state of bliss, and you want to stay. It's amazing, this person gave me that, wow. And when you had a rushed orgasm, all right, it's like, okay, now if I stay it hurts, I leave.
You got you. Yeah.
It's the that big difference between when people, they just had their ejaculation and they go straight to the shower. I say, okay, they didn't enjoy it really.
Yeah.
It's like they released something. They just, yeah, they had a relief from the tension, but that's all. They still have some tension in them, and they're not in a state of loving. When they, oh, it's amazing, I love you, I want to stay close to you, and they begin saying cheesy things. Now the whole orgasm touches the genitals, but also the heart and the
Yeah.
brain and your whole system.
And it's almost where you find that true connection, I guess, to what an orgasm should be, which is
Yeah,
kind of one of the things that I find about you, Matt, is that you're extremely passionate about that because you know what that feels and what that entails and what it could probably do for humanity if we all started doing it right.
exactly. But that's, yeah, teaching orgasm is an act of love.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask you too, shared orgasms. Elaborate a little bit more about that.
Oh, well, actually, it's not often that orgasms are simultaneous, and that's okay because, well, in my experience, when a woman has had so many orgasms, when I get an ejaculation, it's like, oh, that completes the picture.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But the thing is, an orgasm is something shared in itself. It's what I said, an art. The art is reciprocal in that case, because I'm doing everything I can to make it beautiful for her, and I listen to her, and she listens to me, and she wants it to be beautiful for me, because there's a gratefulness that comes with it.
Yeah.
You're always grateful for someone who gives you that much pleasure and so much intimacy and trusts you with their most intimate part.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yes, that's it's always shared, and actually, well, always shared when it's really plentiful. That's something about you know we men, we, comma, men, us men, we lack the opportunity for connection, true connection, and body connection, especially. We have very little access to hugs, touching, kissing. It's always sexual.
Mm,
So sexuality is the the ultimate access to intimacy and to
yeah.
bodily pleasure for us. But you can have, when sex is not reciprocal, there is no intimacy, there is no connection. So it's like an empty pleasure.
Yeah.
You have the bodily pleasure, but it's not as intense and it's not shared.
Yeah.
You don't have access to connecting with someone, to the benevolence that is shared when you make love. And I think most people who feel like sex addiction or porn addiction, it's because of that, because they are reaching for intimacy, and you can get intimacy in sex, but they mistake the means with the ends.
Mm.
I need intimacy. I can have intimacy through sex. I'm going for sex, but if it's not reciprocal, it will not be intimate. So I'll not reach what I need. So maybe I will need more, and it's the cycle,
The cycle that keeps
the
going.
vicious cycle of addiction.
Yeah. Well,
And the solution is really intimacy.
and that's honestly that's one of the things that kind of scares me with the generations that are coming up, because a lot of things that they do versus like even I'll talk to, I mean, I'm 33 now, right? And back in the day, you had to go out, you had to go talk to a female, right? But now it just seems like everybody has full access to everything on a phone that's super smart. If you want to have sex, you go on Tinder. If you want to, I don't know, get food to your house, you click skip the dishes, you need a car, you Uber, everything's just like that, right? And I
Yeah,
think that's one of the things that you talk about and you elaborate so much and you do it elegantly, where it's about taking time with things. And I kind of feel like human beings have kind of fallen out of touch because everything's moving so fast. And now I think it's killing us. Like, as far as porn addiction, everybody just wants to get off in about 5 minutes and just watch their favorite porn clip or whatever the case may be. And I think that's one of the things that you elaborate so much on, but it makes so much sense because it feels like you say, you start from the outside in, and that's one of the things that even for myself I got to practice more. Sometimes it's like, hey, the kids are out, let's go. So sometimes even we'll rush it, right? But there is a deeper connection there that exists, and obviously it took a long time for us to build that foundation. But I kind of find that that's one of the things that I think for a lot of us and for my audience, a lot of guys out there, it's about taking your time with things, right?
yeah, that's very important because if you rush to the goal, you will not see the journey you have been through, and that's for many things. You know, um, if I read a novel, I will have pleasure every single page.
Mm,
If I read the summing up of the novel, I will just have the knowledge,
yeah,
but not the pleasure.
you'll have the
So yeah, that's very
synopsis.
true. But and also it's more complicated when you're straight
Hmm.
because men need their penis, and I'm I'm including myself in that. They need their penis to be acknowledged as a part of us.
Yeah,
So and women need the outside in. So we need
yeah,
to practice the outside in without still respecting our penis and having them respected and acknowledged by the other person. And that's not easy.
yeah. But that's one of the things that I think, building, or like you said, if you respect yourself enough, I'm not going to tell some random person, hey, suck my dick or whatever, right? Like it's like you were saying, if you respect that, but you have to learn that stuff intrinsically, I find.
Yeah.
And all the concepts that you're talking about make sense. It almost comes from, you have to learn to respect yourself, to love yourself before you can really connect and put that out into somebody else, right? And I feel that, maybe that's a connection that's missing big time right now with a lot of guys as well, right? How would you go about teaching young dudes to really love and elaborate, you know, treat themselves better and learn more about themselves?
That's a hard part. One thing that helped me a lot with that was meditation
Mm, yeah.
and love making, actually. Because when when you give tremendous pleasure to someone, they will reciprocate,
Yeah.
especially women who are taught to be pleasers and
Yeah.
raised to be pleasers. So if I give amazing pleasure to a woman, she will really go to great lengths to have me feel as much pleasure as she can possibly make.
Yeah.
Respecting oneself is So being respected and revered in a way by women who are grateful for my love and what I did for them was helpful. Meditating was helpful, and also all things like personal development, going for my traumas and acknowledging that yes, I have done that. It was not good for me. Yes, but I had good reasons for doing it, and I appreciate myself for having made that mistake because it make me grow into a better human being, or it gave me warnings for future mistakes,
Yeah.
and it came from a place of trying to do my best. And we all try to do our best. Sometimes you you see others, you say, why are they doing that? They're trying their best with the knowledge they have.
Yeah.
So yeah, being from a place of love and you know, um, respecting and acknowledging others, and respecting and acknowledging oneself, it's very close. The more you can forgive others for their mistakes, the more you can forgive yourself for your mistakes.
Wow. Yeah.
And the more you can forgive yourself for your mistakes, the more you can forgive others for their mistakes. Uh, I had a journey myself to, yes, to respect myself and to respect others. Also, by learning to understand what other men have lived through.
Hmm.
Because mostly I have always been closer to girls and women when I was a child, when I was a teenager, when I was an adult, and I I was a feminist, still am actually, but I was an angry feminist because I had been harassed at school. I had been sexually harassed
Uh,
in college. I
yeah.
had been sexually assaulted when I was young by men.
Mm,
So I was kind of angry at men for what I had suffered, what my girlfriends and my female friends had suffered.
yeah.
And realizing the pressure that men have to look manly, to be perceived as strong, and all the things that men usually don't have access to. I thought about intimacy, about
Yeah.
physical touch, positive touch, being acknowledged for something else than just a penis with urges. That's a lot to go through. And when you realize the suffering of someone, you have a lot less blame for them
Yeah.
in individuals and groups, both. So, yes, trying to respecting yourself, journey to respecting yourself and journey to respecting others, there's a lot in common, and it's understanding what they have gone through and what you yourself have gone through,
Yeah.
and being, yeah, okay, looking at oneself and looking at others with some compassion and trying to understand, and knowing that they're trying their best. And sometimes it's really, really hard to say, okay, how is he trying his best? He's just doing that very, very stupid things, but he is.
It's you're right about everything you said, and it's almost like that's how you develop empathy, right? And
Exactly.
it's almost when you learn to understand it, it doesn't make sense in the moment. And honestly, it's the same way for many of us too, right? The first thing you feel is rage. You feel mad, you feel pissed off, and then it's kind of like you go through the phases. And at the end, when you learn forgiveness, it's almost like that's when you can actually learn to let go of that and understand them. And it's like it kind of reminds me of the Bible verse of like, forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they do, And it's like,
Exactly.
The older you get, the more you kind of start to realize how these things kind of just come back, and it's the same basic human behaviors that we find in ancient times, but it's almost like that desperate need to fit in. And I find that, a lot of men need help with that because they really don't know, who they are as people or as a being, right? Like the essential self is something that I think a lot of guys need to discover about themselves, right? And I mean, you said it elegantly, Matt, and
Thank you.
it makes perfect sense. And I mean, the fact that you've able to go through that and really figure it out says a lot about who you are, your character, and what you're trying to do. So I respect that.
Thank you. That's heartwarming.
On that
Mm.
note, Matt, um, tell us where we can find you. Tell us about your website. I don't know if Instagram's blocked again. I hope not.
It has been blocked like this weekend.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, I have issues with Instagram. The best way to reach me is through my website. It's orgasmlovers.com. Quite simple. I have a newsletter, and I don't spam. It's just it's one per week or one per fortnight, depending.
Gotcha.
And so you have my articles. You can find me on Facebook. It has never been blocked so far. So I have Matthew Angels and Orgasm Lovers. Both
Okay.
pages exist. If you want personal, it's Matthew, and professional, Orgasm Lovers.
Gotcha. And what about
Um,
consultations or if anybody wants to reach with you one on one?
and that's possible. On my website, on the menu, you have a button to make an appointment. So I'm in Paris, so my schedule would be more in the morning for US citizens,
Yeah.
and it will be the evening for me. But you can make an appointment, and I can see for individual consultations. The first one will be free, and then, of
Go from
course,
there.
yeah, go from there depending on your needs.
All
And
right.
you have also the schematics of the basic um, anatomical areas that will generate orgasm in a female body. So it will differ. There's different sensitivities will differ from person to person, of course,
Yeah.
and really always taking your time to get from the outside in, building trust. That's the first part. But trusting oneself with that knowledge is really key to trusting the other. Trusting the other, trusting oneself. That's very close, always.
And you got the free guide on your website too. So guys, pay
Absolutely.
attention. Make sure you check out orgasmlovers.com. Uh,
Thank you, Conrad. It was amazing.
hey, thank you, Matt. On that note, we'll see you guys later. Matt, it was an absolute honor to have you on my show today, buddy.
It was an honor for me. Thank you
Uh,
very much.
all right. Till the next one, guys.